Welcome back into the Gridiron segment, everybody. We are going to be talking about a head coaching candidate officially off the market, maybe some drama in Philadelphia, and previewing some of those exciting matchups in Week 15. All that and more coming up on the Gridiron. Welcome back into the Gridiron, everybody. My name is Kyle. I am joined by Justin. We are going to be talking about all things NFL football. You know how we love doing it. There is going to be a new head coach at North Carolina. Bill Belichick's off the market. There might be some drama in Philadelphia. Brandon Graham says the wide receivers and Jalen Hurts might not be on the same page. Then he kind of walked it back. Before we get into all of that, I've got to shout out our sponsor at Vivid Seats. Look, my Bears got absolutely demolished by the San Francisco 49ers, and your Giants, Justin, are holding strong in their pursuit of Shedeur Sanders. Like, they are holding steadfast. And we only have a few more opportunities to see our teams play football. That means we only got a few more opportunities to get ourselves to Vivid Seats, the best ticket buying platform on the market. I'm talking about guaranteed seats. I'm talking about ridiculous prices, and you'll get even better prices if you use our link in the description below. So get yourself to Vivid Seats and go sit vividly. It's not just football. There's hockey. There's basketball. There's live shows, live comedy, anything you can imagine. If it needs a ticket, Vivid Seats has got you. Thank you to Vivid Seats for sponsoring us. Now, let's talk a little bit about the week that was. Of course, my Bears lose in hilarious fashion, 38-13, with some garbage time touchdowns to Rome Odunze. Don't need to linger on that. The Eagles barely make it out against the Panthers. The Panthers are so weird to me right now because, like, they're not a good team. They're not contending. They're not going anywhere. But I don't think any team really is looking forward to playing Carolina because they're realizing, they might not be able to, like, out-roster us, but they're playing hard and they're playing together and well. And Dave Canales seems to have figured some stuff out over there, which is great. Like, I'm very happy for Bryce Young. I'm glad that seems to be going in the right direction. The Eagles, though, you should be walloping the Panthers. And it came down to the hands of Xavier Legette at the very end. Like, your defense didn't even necessarily force a stop. That was just a drop that went in your favor. And a lot of the times, things just need to go in your favor. But we'll get to that game in a second. I want your thoughts on the Eagles just squeaking by against the Panthers, Justin.
I mean, the Eagles are doing what they typically do later on in the season. They start out extremely hot, and then as the season progresses, we get to the end of the season, we get to the playoffs, things and holes start showing up in Philly. I seen it last year to the point that my Giants actually got a win on them late last year. And you got to see how Carolina, who, in my opinion, is this year's version of last year's Arizona Cardinals, where you didn't expect them to win anything, but they compete game in and game out now. And Bryce Young is now coming into his own as a quarterback, and Canales is showing his way that he can mold a young quarterback to be successful in this league late into the season. But the problem with Philadelphia is their offense. Their defense can help in a way. They get exposed, but we all knew the defense was the weak point aside from the pass rush. The offense was supposed to be the thing that gets them wins every single week. Saquon Barkley, that offensive line, they're doing their part. But who's not doing their part is the pass game. More notably, the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, and in Jalen Hurts. And the problem with it is twofold. One of these I heard off of TikTok, which actually really made sense to me. He has got, and this is not my words, this came from a TikTok creator, he has got the hooked on phonics version of reading defenses. And the reason they say that is that he is not the best at reading defenses. He is not the best at calling protections. This is the first year he's actually had to do that because all these years he had Jason Kelsey that was taking care of that part for him. And the problem with it is that defense, the play goes on. He sees the defense. He'll throw it to Barkley. He'll throw it to his tight end, slot receiver, whoever's like his hot route, his safety route. But you have one All-Pro and one Pro Bowl wide receivers on your outside that can take over a game as well. And you're just not feeding them the ball, or you're missing them in plays. And you have your All-Pro receiver, A.J. Brown, kind of getting ticked off about it, because when he was asked in the interview after this game, what could y'all have done better? Throw the ball. Pass the ball. Get your star players the ball, not just Saquon, because at some point you're going to run into teams who's known for their defenses, i.e. this week coming up, and they will stack that box and they will make you throw it. So Jalen Hurts, you got to get it together. And if not, come playoff time, they could be a first-round exit.
I can definitely see it happening because, like, yeesh, it's really so night and day, the offense of Philadelphia. Even last year, it was not even close to this, just like anemic in the passing game. But you're so right. Jalen Hurts is going to the safety valve on, like, I mean, almost 70% of his plays at this point. It's kind of ridiculous that you can't even get the ball to your most explosive playmaker, because as good as Saquon Barkley is, I think A.J. Brown is one of the most criminally underrated receivers in the league today. Like, he is so damn good and does not get the credit for it. Now, let's talk about a team that's just getting so much credit for things that they don't even deserve. I'm talking, of course, about the Kansas City Chiefs winning on a doink. Do you want to know what it is like to sit and watch a team win a game on a doinked field goal as a Chicago Bears fan? Do you know what that's like? It's insanity. I literally watched that happen and I went, are you kidding me? There is nothing that can go wrong for this Chiefs team, it feels like. It's ridiculous, Justin. I am so worried that it's going to be the same old song and dance.
Here's the thing, and I know we talked last week and you looked at me crazy when I was like, I'd rather see KC get a three-peat than watch Philadelphia or Dallas get a Super Bowl title.
How about that?
No, I still stick with that.
All right.
But the one thing I can't stand this regular season is just how much Kansas City wins off of things that they should not be winning by. Never mind just the doink. I'm also talking about the very last drive that they had where they got the game-winning field goal. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes had to roll out to his right, and there was a free rusher that was right there, and he's been getting hit all game. Shout out to that Chargers pass rush. But he was getting rushed all game. And all you had to do was just make contact. Make sure that he didn't get that pass off. Not only did you not do that, he was able to sideswipe you, make you run past him, and somehow once again find his tight end just enough to get a first down so that way they could run out the clock. It frustrates me when it comes to Kansas City, how there's always one play that I will always call luck. There's like one, it's like Angels of the outfield is just blessing them game in and game out. That happens, or a referee call. It's getting frustrating. And if this is happening during the regular season, I cannot imagine what's going to go on postseason, because I really needed them to lose this game because I thought Buffalo would have the win, so that way they could at least jump them for that number 1 seed. But it did not happen.
No, and Buffalo, wow, that game was so fun. That Rams-Bills game was a blast. My only problem with it, as you said, is that Buffalo didn't get the win, because I'm pulling so hard for Buffalo to be the one to come out of the AFC this year. But like, oh, that game, that was like, That was like old school Sean McVay in like 2018, where he's putting up insane points week in and week out. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Yes.
This
And
is fantastic.
here's my thing about that one. And this has been my thing when it comes this season to the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals. Because I have heard a couple of people who are in the media of sports, i.e. Shannon Sharp mostly, but this is not to take a shot at him. But to say that these two quarterbacks in particular have not been doing enough to help their teams win, even though fucking Josh Allen got 6 touchdowns by his damn self between 3 rushing and 3 passing. And Joe Burrow, if it wasn't for the win-loss record, would be number 1 in MVP votes right now in the league this season. It's like, what more can you ask these two to do? Like, Joe Burrow is not going to make it to the playoffs just because their Bengals keep exposing them week in and week out. Josh Allen, he needs to go on a roll with his team. I need them to win a Super Bowl this year because this seems to be, even though numbers-wise he's not like the all-world Josh Allen of years past, this has been his most successful season as a team that I've seen in his years in the NFL. You need to cap this one off.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like, it felt so much like the Bills were going all in every single year the past few years, only to be knocked out by the Chiefs. And for a little bit there, we were saying that their window was already closed, but no, it's not, because Josh Allen's there, and he needs to get his flowers as that type of quarterback. That if that quarterback is there and you have at least competent skill players and a competent defense, you can win any game that you play. You legitimately can win any game that you play with that type of quarterback, which is, yeah, that's what everyone wants. That's what we all want. We're all looking for that type of franchise leader that can put an organization on their shoulders.
We need
Tom Brady, as it were.
We need that, and we need a wide receiver like Khalil Shakir who just does not drop passes at all.
What a delight. What a delightful surprise Khalil Shakir has been. Because like all my attention was on Keon Coleman this year. Mm-hmm. But man, Khalil Shakir has been just such a great surprise this season for me. There was a lot of people that were saying, oh, look out for Khalil Shakir, and I was an idiot, didn't listen. We're going to talk a little bit about the college ranks because this is a surprise. We thought this guy was going to be going for a second stint in the NFL, but Bill Belichick is going to be a Tar Heel. He will be the head coach at the University of North Carolina. I really did think that Dallas was going to make a push for Bill, but in the end, that didn't always feel like the best fit because of the type of relationship that Jerry Jones has with his football team and the way that they make decisions. And the fact of the matter is, Bill does come with the kind of baggage of being a general manager as well as a head coach. So yes, you're obviously not going to replace your general manager, but he's going to want to have a word in that decision. And I don't feel like that was ever going to be a good marriage between Belichick and Jones. What are your thoughts on this, Justin? I really did think Bill was going to be going back to the NFL.
I thought he was too. And now that he is not, I can basically say that for my Giants and my other Giants fans. I think now Brian Daboll gets at least one more year, because I thought Mara would only fire Daboll if he can hire Belichick, because Mara has a tendency to prefer to hire people that he knows personally. And with Bill Belichick's career as a New York Giant, that would have been the perfect fit there. But you and I talked before we recorded this. I like this idea of Bill Belichick going down to the college ranks and going down to UNC. One, because the college programs, they don't tend to have general managers. So their head coaches are essentially the GMs also. They're one of the heads of recruiting and all of that good stuff. So he will have a hand in bringing people in. And the part that I said before we started recording here is he's going to have the closest effect to UNC that Deion Sanders has in Colorado. Having a former player for Colorado and a former successful Super Bowl winning head coach in UNC. Now you got the power to go into the transfer portal. You have that leverage when it comes to recruiting. You could bring in talent to a program that struggles with getting talent. And the way he has had a history of developing players in certain positions, that just gets them a fair shake into the NFL come draft time. Because if there's one thing we knew about Bill, he was able to take late round offensive linemen, nobody wide receivers, and turn them into household names. He took defensive players on all three levels and turned them into successes. The only thing we ever fret about Bill was that he could never find and develop a quarterback. Well, guess what? He could just go into the transfer portal and say, hey, you from the SEC or you from the Big Ten, that big school quarterback, you want to come this way? You know, Super Bowl winning champion Bill Belichick. And you know what? Yeah. Between that and NIL, it'll work out. Because guess what? The boosters out in North Carolina are seeing this. They're like, you know what? I'm willing to put more money in this program now. So I think this is probably one of the best things that Bill Belichick could have did, aside from maybe getting certain opportunities in the NFL.
There's a few job openings this upcoming cycle that are pretty appealing. There's a few that are a mixed bag. There are a few that are just like, I don't envy that situation. But I really do like the Deion Sanders to Colorado comparison, and especially as a recruitment thing, because if you're a college athlete and you want to go to the NFL, you look at the coaches that are available to you. Who do you want to learn to go to? Who do you want to learn from to get to the NFL? I don't know. Maybe the person who played in the NFL at an all-pro level. I don't know. Maybe the person who coached in the NFL and won 6 Super Bowls. I mean, 8 if you count his time in New York. It's a really, really powerful recruiting tool, just having that, prestige, as it were. Now, let's shift gears a little bit. We've been dancing around it. Philly is interesting, and I am very intrigued to see how truly long-term Jalen Hurts is as the quarterback for the Eagles. I think he's a very serviceable starter. Do I think he's a quarterback that you can win a Super Bowl with? You could win a Super Bowl with him, but I don't think you're going to win one because of him. And frankly, this team, as you have said, has shown holes late in seasons on a fairly regular basis. And if you don't have a guy that can step up and, basically compensate for those shortcomings in other areas, it's not going to be easy. And you're going to be, as you said, a first round exit. The wide receivers, AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, most of this has been directed at AJ Brown in terms of the criticism or the support, as it were, of his comments or just attitude towards Jalen Hurts. And I totally think that he is right to do so. Justin, I got to get your thoughts on this. They're in the division.
Yep. I'm going to talk about that ghost that you got in the background that opened your door just now. But
I think Toby the cat might have entered.
But
yeah, he did.
If we're going to talk about Philadelphia, and this is me doing it in a non-biased way for all the Philly fans. I know I'm a Giants fan, but I'm speaking about the Eagles in a non-biased way. Cam Newton said it best. When it comes to the NFL, there are game changers and there are game managers. Like you said, Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that you can win a Super Bowl with, but you cannot win a Super Bowl because of. He is one of those examples of a game manager. You can win with him. He can execute a game plan, but understand you need to have the talent around him in order to do it. You cannot put the game on his shoulders and expect him to take you where you need to go. He is not a Josh Allen. He is not a Joe Burrow. He is not a Lamar Jackson. These 3 quarterbacks, you can give them 6th, 7th round wide receivers, and they will still put you in the game. They will still put it on their shoulders and at least make you competitive. Jalen Hurts cannot do it. He had one great season in the NFL where he was an MVP candidate. That is very true. I will never hold that against him. But the other times, he has not shown to be that. He is a great leader in the locker room. He's a very good quarterback, especially when it comes to him. How do I say this? Especially when it comes to him pretty much, I'm trying to think of the word, but basically when the play breaks down. Mm-hmm. He's good at improvisation. Like if the play breaks down, he can roll out. He can either run with it, get the first down, or he can find a tight end, a running back, a receiver, just enough to move the chains. But he is not the quarterback that is going to be the reason why you hoist the Lombardi trophy. And unfortunately, Philly, your receivers, A.J. Brown specifically, is starting to notice that. And because he is not getting the touches and being involved in the game because of his quarterback, it's going to start seeping in. And if you let Philadelphia lose the way I think they may lose in the playoffs, get bumped in the first round, and if they get bumped badly, that's where problems are going to start arising. You know what they need to do? They need to go into Pittsburgh, which is where we're leading up to this because they do have a game, and they need to win, ideally, because of the pass game. If there's a team that you should be playing against the pass, probably Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's defense is very much known for their defense. Especially, you can't really run on that front seven. So as good as Saquon Barkley is, as great as Saquon is, he may be neutralized in this game, which means it's going to fall on Jalen Hurts' shoulders at the end of the day.
Yep, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I have thought about this game back and forth a little bit. The question becomes, are they able to fully take away Saquon Barkley? Because we talk about game-changing skill players. Saquon is that kind of game-changing skill player. Like, he can rip off a 60-yard touchdown run like that. And it's going to be very interesting to see. This is great against great, which is always must-see TV. Like, that's the best you can ask for, is a really great run defense against a really great running back. You just see what happens. I'm interested to see if Russell Wilson can keep, the momentum going with the pass game, because he's looked good. He's looked very good at times. And the connection with George Pickens is fantastic. Like, I really do love George Pickens. I think he's a phenomenal player. And I think he's a lot of fun to watch, like on and off the field. He's a lot of fun to watch. In the end, though, this is tough. I think I'm gonna go Steelers. I think I'm gonna go Steelers by a touchdown here. I'm gonna go 20. I'm gonna go 24-17 Steelers.
I'm gonna now. My bias is gonna come in. I want to see the organization go crazy. I'm gonna say 28-17 Steelers.
Oh, that's what's up. That is what's up. This is a big old reality check for the Eagles. They've got, after this, they've got the Commanders. I believe they've got the Cowboys. And what else do they have? Who's their last game?
Us.
Oh, it's the Giants?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got two very winnable games. You gotta, like, if you want to hold on to the division, I think you gotta win this one, and you have to beat Washington. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I don't know if they'll be able to do either. Depends on Cliff Kingsbury, if he's able to even remotely keep momentum going into the second half of a season. I've never seen it before, so I shouldn't believe that he will.
Here's the other thing. Don't sleep on that game against Dallas either, because even though Dallas has a backup quarterback in there, they still remain competitive in their games. They just need to not theoretically shoot themselves in the foot, i.e. when you block a punt, recover it. Don't make that mistake again.
Didn't it feel so fitting that was the Simpsons game, though? Like, didn't it feel so fitting?
You know what? The only thing that would have made it better for the Simpsons game is if it was my Giants against New Orleans, because it was the most Giants way to lose on a block kick. So I feel their pain.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like an athletic freak of like 6'3", 250-pound pass rusher jumped it and blocked it. No, this looked like a defensive lineman, just all the hops in the world, just cleared the entire line and then blocked it.
It was, oh man. It was honestly, it was poetry in motion, is what it was. Like seeing our teams lose. Sometimes you get to the end and you're like, yeah, no, that's a new one. That's even a new one. Well done. You found a new way to do it.
I will say this: the Giants are the only team in NFL history to win a game by a blocked field goal attempt and to also lose a game by a blocked field goal attempt in the same season. Is that actual facts? I don't know, but it has to be, because I can't imagine.
It feels right. It feels right for sure. All right, as soon as we've started talking about our teams, you know that we're done previewing a game. Let's talk about Bills and Lions, my favorite game of the upcoming schedule. The Lions are falling apart at the seams on the defensive side of the ball. I don't even know how many players they have on IR at this point. It's double digits. Like, I'm pretty sure they have double what the next team has in terms of defensive players on the injury reserve. And they're still winning football games because, oh my God, that offense is ridiculous and you can't stop it. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, that's an unfair backfield right from jump. And then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you have Jameson Williams, and you have Sam Laporta in terms of the receiving game. And you're like, these are all viable double candidates. What the hell do we do? And you can't really do a damn thing about it. And Ben Johnson, for what it's worth, has made it even more terrifying and unstoppable. And the defense has been able to hold up relatively. There's still not a good unit because of losing Aiden Hutchinson. Like, he was the kind of lifeblood of the defense, especially the defensive line. And when you lose a player with that level of impact, it's really hard to supplement that. Like, I don't care how good your backups are. That's impossible to replace that type of impact player. The Bills, they're a little bit pissed off right now because they were in contention for, the first overall, for the first seed in the AFC. And now that looks a little bit more distant now that they're at 10-3 and the Chiefs keep finding ways to win. I really want them to look at this and be like, we've got to make a statement here, because the Lions are always game. The Bills, I freaking love that team. And I really do think and hope, I hope this is the Super Bowl preview. Like, I hope that this is what we get for the Super Bowl matchup in the end. I don't know who I'm picking yet, Justin. You got to talk about this one. I still don't know.
All right, let me put some numbers into what you just said about Detroit and all their players on IR. They have 18 players on injured reserve. 14 of them are on their defense, including a handful of starters. So the fact that I just said that number to you, and the Lions are still number one. I believe they're still number one in the NFC right now, if not number two.
Not number one.
They are number one in the conference with 18 players on injured reserve. That tells you that they do find talent. They know how to develop talent. And when it's time for the next man to step up, the next man steps up. You know what? Kudos to the Lions. This is why I think that they are a heavy favorite come playoff time, because all roads are going to lead through Detroit, most likely in the NFC. The top two options right now is Detroit and Philly is falling apart at the seams. Now,
Oh, do you have any faith in Philly to beat Detroit, even with the injuries? I don't even give Philly a chance.
Offensively speaking, no.
I don't give Philly a chance in that.
No. Here's the thing. Philadelphia will have to really hone in on their run defense because you got two elite, and I will say elite running backs this season, like an elite duo of running backs that are doing it all for Detroit. Like, if you want to talk about MVPs this season, Jared Goff is putting up numbers, but it's really the running backs that is leading the success of Detroit's offense. Now, going over to Buffalo with the Bills. The Bills are pissed off. Josh Allen is definitely pissed off.
He might have sealed an MVP case and still lost the game.
He put up 6 touchdowns in a game that he lost. 6 total touchdowns. You know he's looking around like, yo, we gotta reset this. We need to set the bar for this. And you know what? I think this is the game. This could be a statement game for Buffalo. I think they are going to pull this one off and get a win. And I think what it's really going to come down to is the fact that Buffalo's front 7 can wreak havoc on an offense. And unless Jared Goff is going to take over this game, they may end up taking the loss here. I'm going Buffalo. And it's going to be a close one. Huh?
Is Matt Milano back?
I don't even know. Is he? He's been on IR for a minute. Hold on. Matt, are you still on IR? Oh, wait. As of November 30th, they were activating him off IR. So he could be playing today. Oh, man. Yep. Give me Buffalo.
Holy shit.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Give me 35-28. I think it's going to come down to a touchdown, but I think it is going to be high-scoring.
I agree. Give me 38-27. Give me 38-27 Buffalo. I think that they make a big statement here, and I think that the cracks do start to show with the injuries a little bit with Detroit. Because I'm sorry, 14 defensive players on IR. That is more than a full defensive starting lineup. That's really, really hard to overcome. They found a way to do it, and they have some really great safeties. At the end of the day, though, I don't think that's going to help them too much. That ain't going to help them too much against Josh Allen because
I could pretty much call it like right now. Whomever makes it out of the AFC is going to win the Super Bowl.
You think so? Because of how
I think the only caveat would be Detroit coming out of the NFC because I think Aiden Hutchinson can make it to the Super Bowl off of his injury.
That would be insane.
I think he does.
That would be the most ridiculous.
If they do make the Super Bowl, he comes back.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? They're in the Super Bowl. Hutch comes back and gets like 5 sacks and wins Super Bowl MVP or some crazy shit like that. That's what I would.
Can see that happen.
What I love.
You know what? Here's an overreaction. I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but this is my overreacting thing. It's gonna be Detroit, Kansas City in the Super Bowl. Aiden Hutchinson comes back, gets 3 sacks against Patrick Mahomes, and Detroit wins because of one of those sacks, a la what Aaron Donald did when the Rams won their Super Bowl.
Oh my God. I would cry tears of joy if that were the case. And on that note, on that beautiful, happy note, we're going to get out of here. Any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
If that does happen, I want this timestamped and I want it replayed. But I'm still holding hope that the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl.
Aren't we all? Josh, they got to come through for you. You deserve this one. And, man, I'm pulling for them. And I think they're going to beat Detroit. That's going to be it for us, though. Thank you so much for tuning into the Gridiron segment. It is always a blast. That's Justin. I did it. You got it right the first time. This is Kyle. You've been awesome to chat with on this segment, as always, my man. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that like button. Follow us on all platforms: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, the works, Facebook, Threads, whatever, wherever you can post things. We're posting things about sports, and it's just this. It's us having a good time talking about sports. So come hang out, have a good time, and have a good time with us. Until the next time, it has been great hanging out with you. Peace.